Hello and welcome. I'm Sean Dubé.
I'm Patrick Quinlan.
And this is Supporting Actors, a podcast about the art, business, and craft of acting from the perspective of two sometimes working actors.
And today we're talking about what to expect when you're expecting to be on set.
Ooh, I like what you did there.
A little wordplay, a little improv. Sean, hey, you booked a job. What is the flood of feelings and thoughts, anxieties, positive and negative, that rush at you in that process when you hear those words?
There's so many, right? There's like some relief, I think, because sometimes it's been a minute and you're like, okay, yeah, ready to get this done. And then some dread kicks in because now you have to like do the thing for real. And then for me, it's as if I didn't audition for it, where I'm like starting over, it feels like.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, okay, where do I begin? Now I have to like do this, which is kind of a little bit of not true, because if you were given the role, it's because you're right for it. And,
Yeah.
They liked what you did. So you don't have to, you do not want to do something different, right? Like you absolutely do not want to do something different, but you want to go deeper, right? And you want to develop more nuance, be more specific. And now that journey begins, right? So hopefully you're lucky enough to be in a role or on a project where they give you the script, and then you can start reading through it and just the usual things. Every time I'm mentioned, every time another character talks about me, read it for yourself, read it for the other characters, read it for you. Go through all those things and start asking questions about the thing. I find that my anxiety prevents me from starting that at a time that I should. So I delay it as long as possible. And, depending on the size of the role, you need to get with it. Or sometimes, if it's like a single scene for a day player or something, you can't forget what you did, but it doesn't require the same amount of work as if you're like, oh, I just booked a lead in a play and now I have 120 pages that I need to memorize, right? Like that's real work. But how about for you? What shows up for you when you get that email?
Yeah, so I mean, you bring up a good point about the job itself has different requirements, and I suppose and therefore different insecurities, different anxieties, or different levels of excitement.
Sure.
I try to celebrate, I think, right away and just be like, hey, we did it,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, the clock starts, or that sign in the back, like it's been zeroed. It's been however many days since your booking. You get to say back to zero.
Yeah, right. I've got
Um,
okay. What do you do to celebrate?
um, I also try to tamper my expectations because
Yeah.
having been on the cutting room floor, having had jobs sort of in flux, you just never know what to expect. So I think I think just even like giving a high five to yourself is sometimes
Sure.
like all you need. Just like, all right, cool, we did it. Um, and then yeah, if it's depending how exciting it is, I'll tell people who are close to me,
Yep.
but I won't necessarily tell the world,
Yeah.
because it's not real until you film it, and sometimes it's not real till you make the episode. So there's that aspect. I get anxious with logistics. So I think that's, for me, that's the, having, I think juggling like we've talked about day jobs in the past, like juggling your different responsibilities,
Hmm.
being a husband and a dad, and having a business and being an actor. It's like, how's this going to screw up the rest of my life? And I'm excited about it. And I
Yeah.
remind myself I came here for a reason, and I came out here to be an actor. But the reality is, like, now I'm on someone else's clock and I'm on their turf. And I just sort of cross my fingers and try to think about, okay, well, what does that mess up? And who do I have to let know? And how
Oh
do I move
yeah.
things around?
You got to adjust your day job.
Yeah, you got to adjust your day job and whatever obligations you made,
Yep.
if you have to start working that scene that you worked but you forgotten since, and and you book this job that's a few days away, you got to start working again. You don't get to go out to that party necessarily.
Right.
Um, that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's it's a time to celebrate for sure. And then, but also know like now the real work begins. And like you said, going deeper, that's absolutely right. I think um, I try to remind myself of what was the thing I wanted to do after the audition. Like, what was the note I gave myself or the thought I had? And it's like, can
Mm.
I build from there? Because that's like it was over, and then you had the great idea. It's like, oh, cool.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
explore that great idea, and then like come back to it and just have options ready for the day. But I was thinking we could kind of like break this down. We could talk first quickly about what type of job might be uh the different variations of the jobs, I suppose, the what to expect, and then we could maybe, I don't know. For me, I'm thinking when I think of advice to give to someone who booked a job, I'm thinking television, and I'm thinking like, oh, you're a day player, or you're like you have a week, you're part of the guest cast, but it's not necessarily
About
the
you.
most demanding and the most about you. Yeah, you're in service of this story that's been running. Um, but this the process or the flow of the day and the lead up to that day is probably pretty similar project to project, even films at different scales. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. They're different. Um, there's some of the steps are similar, but I guess their variation changes. I think being a day player on a network TV show is probably the hardest job that we have. If you're showing up, right, it's another machine. You're stepping into this machine. They all know each other. There's a shorthand. They're having a great
Hmm.
time. You're that like awkward person on the outside that doesn't want to mess
Yeah, you're the
that
new
up.
kid in the lunchroom. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then there's trying to break that ice and not be awkward and be supportive or whatever your role is, but it's really hard to go into another system and then perform your best and you're not getting rehearsal most of the times. You really have to just like know your lines, get in there, and try to have fun. And I feel like that sounds easy, but for me, my experience has been that there's a little bit of getting over the formality of network TV because it's a big deal to you if you haven't booked something in a while. Um, it's like if you book a film, the first couple days kind of feel similar. Everyone's getting their anxiety out, right? So you're stepping
Right.
into a
Everyone's in the
system
same
that
boat.
everyone's already done that, and now you are the only one with anxiety, and you have to get over that to like say your line. At least it's only a line or something, or under five usually. So you're just trying to move the story along, not drop the ball, not drop the energy, and keep the thing moving, right? Just do your job. But I find that I have more anxiety on those than on some larger things for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess I think when we were talking about putting this episode together, I was thinking, you know, you book a job through a casting director. It's going to be SAG scale. It's going to pay you a decent amount for the day, and if it's a supporting part on a movie or if it's a television show, you're coming into a bigger system. And that day, you're going to get bombarded with people to meet of different in the different job and the different responsibilities on set and a lot of paperwork thrown your way, information, and it's hard to process all that when you're also processing your own the performance you want to do and the anxiety you have about both being excited and terrified to be there. And so I was thought, well, let's just demystify like this is kind of how the clock works on a set or
Sure.
how the train generally runs, and with some caveats that like it's going to be different on a sitcom where you come back to do the taping. It's going to be different on a commercial where it's a limited time and like they have to approve all sorts of different things, and there's
Mhm.
three masters that decide what you are doing on camera. On a general like single cam TV, film, comedy, drama, I think roughly there's a process to booking, getting ready for the day, showing up on set. That sound right to you?
I think so. Yeah, each has its own rhythm. Um, Before we get to getting on set, though, there's sometimes additional things that'll happen between
Sure.
booking the job and showing up, right? Like you might have a fitting, and that
Yeah.
can be fun, or sometimes that's like a Zoom if they're trying to source stuff from you. Sometimes some roles will do that if you're kind of close to the role, or they're just curious. The costume designer is like, it's cheaper to rent your clothes than it is to go buy something. So sometimes if they have
Or they're
something in
pinched for
mind,
time,
or they're pushed for
and
time and they don't have time
yeah,
to get right.
they
Okay,
know, hey, you probably own a pair of jeans that you feel good in. So like
right.
you just bring your pair of jeans.
Yeah, I've found even on sets that are going to provide outfits, they'll still ask sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And they do want to just see what looks good on you. And sometimes it has the right level of distress, or it's too distressed, or so that could save them time and save them money. And if that's an option, they would love to do that. Fittings are kind of fun. I like fittings.
These are cool. You get to, I mean, if you get to do it, if you get to go before, usually it
Yeah,
happens
like a couple
like in
days
the
before or a
a
week
few days
before.
before. So that like, let's say if you've auditioned for a job, you've forgotten about it, hopefully, because that's part of the process is forgetting, like on to the next one. And then you get an email a week, 2 weeks later saying, hey, you're pinned, or we're checking, are you still available? And then hopefully you get another email that says, hey, they want to hire you.
Yep.
Right after you say yes, you generally get the text from wardrobe that says, when are you available for a fitting? These are my times. Send me your sizes.
Yeah.
So something I do is I have a notes app file of just like, well, the last time I went to a fitting, these were my sizes, assuming nothing's changed really, but it's like, I know I feel good in this size jacket, this size
Yep.
t-shirt. My shoe size has been the same for 20 years now. And I just copy and paste, send that off the text. So I don't even have to think about getting something wrong or anything.
Right.
And then you go and yeah, you get to talk to, if not the costume director or designer, they're one of their workers who is like an assistant wardrobe or whatever, and you get to learn about the tempo, how the shoot's been going, like what
Yep.
episode are they in, like how are people, is it you feel out if it's hectic, if things change. It's kind of fun.
It
and
is.
and those are people you'll see on the set on your first day on set, so it's nice to have a familiar face then the
Well,
next time you show up to set.
and for TV as well, they have probably spent more time with your character than you have,
Yeah.
right? So, like, it's just another thing where you're getting another perspective from the outside that can maybe provide you with some more information, or sometimes it can be they'll have insight that they had conversations with the showrunner or the director, right? And there's something else that they want to do. You can find out through wardrobe, which is
You
another.
also kind of
Yeah.
learn about your character,
Yeah.
or how they see your character. It's
Yes. Well, that's what I
possible. You
mean.
might
Yeah.
not, but
Yeah.
it might be totally general, and you try on every look imaginable, and you don't know what you get till you show up that day. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any? I have two wardrobe stories that come to mind that I found that were just, they're interesting. Like I'll probably share them again sometime. But I just was like, oh, this was a memorable part of this job, was the wardrobe team.
Yeah. For me, I kind of always have fun with wardrobe. I like costume. So it's a big part for me of getting into character and kind of feeling the weight of the clothes, and it moves different and I move different, and it kind of just helps inform the physicality, which, I've talked about it another episode where like a lot of my process is physical. So it's a part of it that I really like. So I don't like, it's all a great thing for me. I haven't had one that's been like unusual yet,
Oh, okay.
but I'd love to hear your stories.
Well, so it's funny. The thing that runs through my head with wardrobe is like this is where I feel comfortable taking photos because someone leaves the room and you're now in a costume and it's like, oh, maybe this is really cool. Like, would I go out and buy this because I know they went and got it from
Right.
Nordstrom Rack or
Yes.
whatever. Like,
Right. Yeah. It's something
but
nice usually.
like so I'll take photos of the tags and be like, oh, I might want to buy this for my next headshot session, or I might maybe my wife will like this look and I'll whatever next date night. But it's also like you try on stuff and sometimes it's really silly looking. And so to me, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
where I'm the most basic and willing to take pictures for like, not that I necessarily would post them to social media, but you're just like, this is funny to me. I think it's playing, it's pretend, it's dress up,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
But
I generally have a lot of fun too whenever they ask for a photo. They normally want you in like, really boring, sit upright, arms by
Mhm.
your side, just relax. And I'll usually try to hit them with some like, hit them with a
Some
pose, give
poses,
them something stupid.
some
And they're like,
Zoolander.
oh, all right, this clown has showed up for our shoot. This is great.
Well, but
But it's
like
fun. But that's part of
on
it.
this gig that
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, they wanted me to like pop a hip,
Yeah.
put my feet together because they were selling because in those photos which are part of like so wardrobe will take your photo all the things that are kind of like in the
Yes.
top running and they have to show those to the producers. They have to get approval for that wardrobe, right?
Right.
So you just standing there kind of not looking like you're having a great time doesn't sell the
Right.
wardrobe. And I was quickly like encouraged to be like
Yeah.
loosen up, like whatever, and
Sure.
thankfully I did because we had to take a ton of photos. And then ultimately on the day they were like, oh yeah, we just got t-shirt and jeans because you're wearing like a logo on your t-shirt that indicates where
Yeah.
we're at. But
Yeah, there's some obvious story fix or something,
yeah,
or it's something like, well, um, the, this other lead has a shirt of the same color 3 scenes later. So that's why we
yeah.
had to go, so it's, because they're still fitting for that stuff, right?
But I had another gig recently where they put me in this t-shirt with a logo, whatever. They gave me like a necklace and they had a vibe to it. And the wardrobe ladies were like, at the fitting, which was before getting to set, they were like, love your hair, like it's how cool, this is great. And they made all these decisions. I show up to set and I get brought to hair and makeup and they do the makeup and they're like, oh yeah, we like the scruff, we'll keep the scruff. And then they go to hair and they're like, what do you want to do with your hair? And they're like, well, he's working in this bar, he has to have it tied up, right? And they're like, oh yeah, plus it'll make it easier to just not have to mess with it. It'll be tied up. I have very curly, long hair. And so the amazing hair department, she puts my hair up and makes it really not like, I look a little like an extra on The Sopranos, but like it's pretty, I'm like, this is
Full
kind of
tight. Yeah.
fun. This is
Yeah.
different than what I do.
Yeah.
And I go back to wardrobe for last looks and they're like, what? No, who did that to your hair? I'm marching over there right now. The head of wardrobe marched over to the head of makeup and was like, we cannot have him with that hair. The hair completes the outfit. and they marched me back to the woman who did my hair and she's like, I don't care, whatever, like and I was
Sure.
like, I'm sorry you had to do this twice. She's like, no, this is not you, this is them. And like
Yeah.
and it was all good, but I just thought I was like, oh, you guys, you've thought about like
Yeah.
every person you'll meet on the day at set or leading up to set is someone who is taking their job very seriously and trying to do it to the best of their ability to tell the story and contribute.
Yeah. They're doing just as much work as you're doing, but their domain is on the wardrobe or on the hair and
Yeah.
makeup or on capturing the audio, right? Like everyone is doing their absolute best work to make that thing happen. But that's one of the things that makes it so fun and kind of like the team sports aspect of it, right? Like you're all coming together. But so fittings are one aspect of it. What's something else you might have a table read
It's
that could
possible.
be
Yeah.
sometimes the read through is on the morning, right? You're on set, and sometimes you'll run
Yeah.
through, and not like a blocking rehearsal. It's just literally like let's hear this thing. Since this is the first time we've all been in one space together.
I think if you
Um,
do a pilot or you do a maybe a limited series, but definitely maybe like a sitcom,
yeah,
then it would be you would have a table read. There'd be a designated day. I they
more
even
likely in comedy,
yeah, more
you know,
likely in comedy.
even for
And
like
I'm
indie
and I'm
films,
guessing those have been like auditions in person have moved to self tapes. I'm guessing table reads have also sort of sort of decreased over time as it's just another time expenditure, money expenditure. Um, but the next step after you're fitting, you're gonna start getting emails from one of the ADs. And it could be an updated script, it could be the script of the whole episode, which you might not have had before.
right?
It will be any changes that the writers make over the next couple days leading up to your shoot, and then you'll start getting
Locations, times.
your call time, yeah,
Yep.
your shooting schedule, and that's you'll get it the night before or the afternoon before. Generally, you're generally getting the call sheet whenever they've gotten close to wrapping that day before
Yep.
your shoot, right? So
Right.
so if it's not coming, and I've had stressful moments where I'm like, it's 8 o'clock. Why am I not getting
Yes.
a call time? And the thing you have to remember is like, well, if they're still haven't wrapped at 8, they're not starting till 8 the next day or
Right. 12
9.
hours. Yep.
And and it's all good. Like stay up, get it, know what's happening, or get up
Yes.
early, I suppose, and check your email. But I like to get that and then just Google Map where am I going
Right.
and
It's start working
just
backwards. So when do I need to get
yeah,
up and
what
be
time
ready?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then you see who else is working that day. You see what other scenes they're shooting on that schedule. You can see, you see, oh, this person who's been emailing me, this is their job. They're the second AD.
Right.
Interesting. And you start putting names to faces and positions.
Yeah, and you start looking at too, like the call sheet will kind of tell you everything that's important to them that day and the next day, right? Usually like there's an upcoming shoot and like if you're working multiple days, that could be useful for you. But you'll find out what scene you're shooting, what the order of that's going to be that day. Sometimes you'll look at it, you know, you'll get that and you'll be like, "Oh, I'm after lunch. Cool." You know, or I'm we're starting the day, I might wrap by lunch, right? Like that's another
Yeah.
thing that happens sometimes, especially on shorter roles. Um, there's call sheets are great because you do glean so much. Sometimes you might look at it and you be like, oh, well, my scene they're going to try to move quick through because they have a scene right after with 500 extras. So
Yeah.
you just start being aware of like, okay, so they need this is probably going to be pretty quick, or it's going to be like a single camera shot or whatever. You know, like you start getting an idea for how they might do something based on the logistics of their day and how much time they've allocated to your scene, which
Yeah, and if it
they'll
turns
have on.
out, oh, your scene is first up and or yeah, probably let's say first up and call time's at 8 and you're like, well, rehearsal might be 9, 9:30 depending how things are moving, maybe even
So
10 and
your
then
call time's 8, your first shot's probably 11 or 11:30.
yeah, and then like they finally get into a rhythm and you might be done and wrapped, but at the same time you kind of have to be in this mindset of like they paid for my whole day. I'm here
Well, yes, unless
until
they
they
tell you to
say.
leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because
Whereas
you never know where you'll come in handy too, right? Because like you might be playing a role where you're a bartender and they want you in the background of the next scene,
yep.
right?
And it
And
just
like
wasn't on the call sheet
that's right.
because they didn't think of it, but or they just hadn't planned it to that detail. But
Or they that could be a change on the day too. They're like,
yeah,
you know what, we're gonna look this way now. We need the bartender. So is he still here? You know, like
yeah, right.
that stuff happens. Because it depends on the lighting and the blocking. The actor might show up. You know, the lead might be like, hey, this feels a little weird. Can I be over here? Can we do this instead? You know, like it's a living, breathing thing. It's constantly in flux. So go into
Generally, it
with
seems
that attitude.
like because what they tell you on this on the call sheet is the how long each scene is, right? So it'll
Right.
say like it's a page and a half, or it's 2/5 of a page. Is it fifths or eighths? Two eighths
Eighths.
of a
Eighths.
page.
Yep.
Um, and and so you can gauge a little bit. You can have a guesstimate about how long it will take to shoot. And it generally on like a TV show, they have to move pretty fast.
Yep.
There, it might be an hour a page, but longer scenes end up taking longer because there's just more that can go wrong.
Yeah.
and
Or if it's
and it takes time at the start of the day to get into the rhythm.
Yeah, or if you ever worked a show where there's technically complex blocking, right? Like if there's a walk and talk,
Yeah.
that's a big technical shot. That's probably going to be more than an hour per page.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's like it's helpful to know so that it's one less thing to think about, but at the same time, like nobody knows anything and like
Yeah,
anything
you're
can
there for the
happen.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to enjoy it. What do you bring? What do you pack the night before? What do you bring into set? Um,
So, I mean, any of your professional documents, right? So you're going to have like a W-4 and a 9-9 that you'll have to fill out. So,
yeah,
you know, driver's license, passport, social security, like usually you need two forms of ID or a passport. Um, you'll need to fill that out. If you don't fill it out ahead of time, sometimes it's sent to you via email, and you'd still probably bring it on that day just in case. But uh, that's kind of it. Otherwise, it's like stuff you might need for. I'm always bringing headphones. Like
yeah,
music is a super useful thing for me to get in, stay in character, stay in touch with character. So, um, water. I might bring food unless I want to roll the dice on crafty. Again, it depends on the day. Like if I'm gonna eat after lunch, I'm probably gonna eat a light lunch, or I might bring
if you're
something
gonna film after
instead.
lunch.
If I'm gonna film after lunch, sorry, yeah. Then I don't want to be all like heavy and bloated and tired after lunch.
Hmm.
So then I might
Same.
that's not eat as much or not eat their lunch. That's all like part of what goes into it. So it depends on the shoot, but I think like
Yeah, I
headphones
think
are a
it,
must, and paperwork is a
you're
must.
just, you're gonna have a lot of downtime. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
in a minute, but
The
yeah, so
script.
you need to regulate your blood sugar
Yep.
and your caffeine intake
Which is a lot
and your
harder than you
water.
might think,
Yeah.
right?
And then
Yeah,
I bring a book. Like I try to
sure.
bring a hard copy book so that I'm not at my phone the whole time.
I put my
Um,
phone away too, other than
but
music.
I mean everyone's on their phone, so it does feel like it's okay. But like generally, if you're gonna go sit at like the actor's station near set, like you don't want to have your phone make a noise or on or whatever. So it's just kind of like
Well,
an act nightmare.
I mean, part of what I like on set too is I like the break from society, right?
Sure.
It's almost like going to summer camp in a way. Everyone's
Hmm.
there to do a thing together and have this thing, and it's a nice excuse to put your phone away and to just be present, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to read a headline or something, or it pulls me out of whatever I'm doing, or get
Yeah.
text
Right.
messages and get trapped in a conversation. It's like, um, the worst possible scenario would be you're sitting down, you're waiting, and then you start getting like day job emails that you're like,
Yeah.
that's gonna pull you right out of it. So for me, I'm just like, I'm gonna put that thing away. Same, a hardcover book could be fine, or I like to take pictures, so I might have a camera. Uh, Whatever's gonna help me stay present and available, and keep me entertained in some capacity.
Sure. Sure. Well, let's talk about kind of maybe what the events of the day is and who you'll meet at each
Sure.
station. I think we could kind of combine it. So you've you've gotten to set, you've found crew parking, which is where probably you have to park, and then
Yep.
maybe that's next to base camp, or maybe there's someone who picks you up there and
It
brings you
might
to
be a
base
shuttle.
camp,
Yep.
shuttle. And you get there and you text the person who coordinated with you the night before, like, hey, I'm here, whatever. And then you walk to the place where there's all the trailers, and
Yep.
you're like, and you look for the one that's kind of like base camp or AD or whatever, because they're the
Yes.
people that are going to check you in. And there might be, they might be someone in the AD department might be checking in extras,
Yeah,
and
there might
wardrobe
be a
might be dealing with
table or yeah.
extras. There might be other actors already in hair and makeup, and like things might be moving, or it might be the start of the day, but um, someone will
Could be a
bring you
small
to
shoot.
your, yeah, or it could be,
You
I
might
mean,
be
it's
the only
small
guest
shoot.
that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so someone will bring you to your trailer, and it's either like the base camp PA or base camp AD, and you start filling out forms, all those
Yep.
W4, I-9, and any sort of like you're a new
Exhibit
employee of
G or
of
yeah, right.
Universal, so here's all the sexual harassment forms,
Oh
here's all
yes.
the um,
Your
you
training.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
if you have a complaint, minimum wage, like all the things that any job would have to give you as
Yep.
an employee. And you have to and I think now in the last few years they've shifted to more digital. So it is like through an app.
That's been everything that yeah, recent that I've done has all been digital
Yeah.
now,
So you
which
might
has
do
been
it through an
nice.
app, or it might be hard copy. Either way,
Yep.
you're setting up an app on your phone, and or your computer, I suppose, if you got the Wi-Fi, and you're filling out all these forms, and you know, um, you have the proper ID so they can double check it. And then you try to get that done right away,
Yep.
because from then on out, depending on when you're shooting, they're going to try to move you through hair and makeup, and then wardrobe. So
They
you'll
want
meet
you
those two
ready.
departments, and you just be ready. Yeah,
Yep.
hurry up and wait, basically.
Yep.
Maybe someone comes and asks you like, "Hey, do you want a breakfast burrito? You want any? Can I get you a coffee?" And you're
Oh
like,
yeah, that's always nice.
thinking your
When you
makeup,
get
this is
like
really nice.
yeah, yeah, or yeah, sometimes they're like they want you to go to hair and makeup and you get halfway there and they're like, "Wait, actually, hold on. Let me bring you to food." And they realize that it's like, "Oh, we got to give you breakfast so that way we can break you in 6 hours for lunch." You know,
Right.
so it's that's sometimes
Or
part
if
of it
they're
too.
behind, they're
Or
like,
if they're
"We'll
behind.
get you. What do you want?" And then
Yeah,
you
that's right.
you
That's right.
feel a little bougie,
Yeah.
and a little like a prima donna, and then you gotta like say, "Oh no, just
Yeah.
just fruit for me, please."
Just a water, please. Thank you. Yeah.
um, and then you kind of hang out in your trailer, and maybe you'll meet your neighbors. If you stay in your trailer, you won't meet anyone unless they come to your door.
Right.
If you sit outside on the steps of your trailer, you might chat with some other people who are coming by, and the ADs will check on you and whatever, but generally you're just supposed to be there so we know where you are.
Yep. Yeah, and if you have to go anywhere, well, so inside that trailer, or also known as a honey wagon, there's generally a bathroom. There's generally
Mhm.
like no reason to leave it. So
Yeah.
so
There's a
don't.
there's a nice,
Yeah.
you depending how, if you got lucky and maybe it's a small day, they might have given you a bigger place, but there's a place to sit. There's a little desk,
Yep.
like makeup mirror, and they bring your wardrobe there, so you get dressed in that, and
Mhm.
then you
You leave
start
your
reading
stuff
your
there that
book,
day. They lock it behind
start
you.
start taking those on-set photos, like your trailer mirror photos. It's
Yep.
mandatory for an actor to take, and um, and you familiarize yourself more with the call sheet and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. What was your first time like when you got walked to a trailer? Like it's not a short film. It's not, it's like something legit. And they walk you out there.
Uh,
What was that feeling like for you?
the first, it was cool. I was on a set. We were on, gosh, I don't know. I was on like, I think probably Universal, and
Mm.
so um,
I feel like it's
there
twice as
was,
full when you're on a studio lot.
yeah, it was like a studio lot,
Yeah.
and it was, gosh, I don't even, I mean, it was just, like, I feel like I think I started early, and it was like the first two scenes of the day. And so I was wrapped really early. So that was exciting to be like done at 10 a.m. or not like 11, like we did, it was a walk and talk, and we did,
Yeah.
and we did like 2 takes, and that was it. From what I remember. And but yeah, no, it's just there's a quiet to a set the first time, like in the morning, there's
Yeah.
just there's a milling around, there's people kind of tired, everyone's still waking up and they're drinking their coffee and eating their burritos, and um everyone's because everyone who works there regularly has walkie talkies, so they're hearing there's a whole other
All kinds of
conversation
chatter. Yeah.
happening, and you're sitting in silence. and and then and maybe you go into the makeup trailer, and one of the leads is there, and they might turn and say hi, like that sort of thing, and who are you playing, like depending how gracious they are or what their day is like. You get welcomed by everybody. It's generally a pretty welcoming feeling. you
Yeah.
you are solving a problem for people, and they want you to have a good time because they want to have a reputation of like we're good crew to work for, I think.
Yeah, I
How
think
about
so
you?
too. That's been my experience. I mean, the first time was super cool. It it starts off exciting, and then like for me, I started super excited, and then I got nervous, and then I was like, why am I nervous? Like I've done this 100 times. It's just like the scale of it was cool. Um, and then we were also on location somewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like a parking to shuttle to base camp to shuttle to set, and everything was like 20 minutes in between. So you're like now 2 hours away from your house, and it's way out in the middle of nowhere.
And you
Um,
could be like a half hour from your car too, like
yeah,
bring it's a little weird. it's
or no
it's
cell service. Not
you're
that
just
great.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
I just left my car in this random field.
yeah. Right. Yeah, just this or yeah, this empty field. Sometimes it is that, or it's like a um just like I pulled off the side of the road into like a dirt pit, and like that's where we're
Yeah,
parking.
yeah,
Yeah,
there was
that's
a
great.
yellow sign, I followed that.
That's right. Yeah, that's where I parked. Uh, but yeah, the first time was cool, and similar experience. You go into the makeup trailer, and everyone's like very nice and welcoming, and that's been my experience by and large on pretty much every set, is that people are just happy to be doing what they're doing, and I mean they should be. They're making movies, which
Hmm.
is a great time. Can be a great time.
Yeah. Um, Eventually, the time will come, maybe before lunch, maybe after, where someone will say, like, hey, we're getting ready for rehearsal. Let's
Yep.
get you mic'd up. And so you'll have your sides. We mentioned that the sides are usually
A
in
small
your
version of the
trailer.
script. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like just the scenes for that day.
Yep.
And they're on like half a sheet of paper that have been printed for landscape mode. So they fit easily in pockets and stuff. And
Yep.
sometimes someone highlights it for you. It's really fancy. And and so you bring those with, because generally at the rehearsal, which is more with like first they'll do it with just the director and the cast, and it's kind of like blocking out where everything's going to go. And like you should know your lines, but it's okay to read it in that moment, and just because they're going to be reading the stage directions
Well,
and indicating who does what.
and that's also a spot where you're not usually acting it.
You're not.
No,
That would
you're
I
walking through it. You're hitting your mark. You say the line, and it's like you're marking through everything. So you're just like, okay,
yeah.
this is where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna say this, and then you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna say this, and I go here, and it's like, and it's
If
very
I would say
mechanical.
though, if there's something very specific, like I had to do a Boston accent, and I was like, I have to do that at this. I have to do it. I can't just not do it and then do it later. Like you
Yeah,
have to
you learn
show
the words
them
with it. Yeah,
the thing you're gonna do. You don't have to burst into tears if you have to cry in that scene. You can say the lines, but like if there's a aspect of your performance that's not you that they need to see, just to make sure they still like it that day, especially if you did it in the audition, I would say.
right. Actually, a dialect is a good one. Yeah, any kind of affectation. I
Yeah, if you have a limp or something, I don't know.
limp. Yeah,
Like,
right. Well, because it might affect pacing, right? So
yeah.
like that's useful for them to know, or like that might be where they decide. we're going to give him crutches, or
And
so.
this is the
Yeah,
moment where some questions can get asked too.
that's right.
Of like, hey, should this line be to this character, or am I talking because this person's my boss? Should I be talking directly to them, or am I answering them? Uh, you can ask simple questions like that there, but
Yeah.
generally they're like, we'll feel it out. We're trying to vibe it out, and the in television, the directors are visiting as well. They've been there for however long the shoot has been and a week before doing prep, and maybe they've revisited that
Sometimes up
show
to
a few
5 weeks
times.
before. Right.
But sometimes it's the writer or the stars of the show that are kind of the ones everyone's feeling out. Like, are we happy with this? Does this feel in line with the greater piece, which
Yes.
has multiple directors?
Right.
And then they'll bring in they're happy and they'll bring in everybody to watch. Everyone who needs to light, to sound, props,
Yep.
and everyone stands around and you do it again. And then they say, bring in the second team, which is our stand-ins, and then you go and you get mic'd up, last looks, and hopefully 30 minutes later you're shooting your scene.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And last looks, if you're not familiar with it, hair and makeup will come make sure that nothing moved or looks weird
Mhm.
under the lights. Right. So they'll
Yeah.
come and look at you, make sure that on set everything still is looking how they wanted it to look.
Yeah, like the wardrobe will be like, "Oh wait, we never give you a belt. You need a belt," and like things
Or a
like that.
watch or right, but that's a
And
prop.
they take
But it's
photos
yeah.
of they'll take
Yeah.
photos of you and all of your stuff around that time, um, or when you come back to shoot, and that might be the time you actually first get to meet your scene partners.
Yep.
Frankly, especially if they were also hiding in their trailer, or if they're the star of the show and they were filming another scene.
Right.
Uh, so you don't get to talk to them for very long. You just say, say your hellos and like, thanks for having me, whatever. And then they have to get ushered off to do their stuff too. So you have a little team of wardrobe and makeup and an AD assigned to you, and they have their team as well.
Right. So what's some stuff that happens between takes? Right. So you are going now, you're doing the scene, this is great. Let's say you go through two or three takes, maybe it's changing setups. That's probably a better way to think of it. They're going to move the camera, they're going to adjust
Yeah.
lights, they're going to look
Change
at
the
something
lens.
different now,
Yeah.
right? Props generally will come and relieve you of your prop,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on the complexity of moving the camera, second team, your stand-ins might come in, or you might hang out. It depends. Every set's a little different. Yeah, props though usually will come in. Sound, not usually unless your battery is dying, or if you're going to lunch, they might shut your pack
Yeah.
off, but you'll keep the pack generally, or not. And every sound person's different, but
Yeah, usually what a second AD or a first or a second AD comes to you and they say like, "Hey, we're gonna have you be in the sort of holding area, like the actor's holding area," um, and then you go sit there and wait
yeah,
until.
right. There's
And if you're
director's chairs,
brave
or
and you want to
sometimes it's
run
on
to the
set.
restroom or
Yeah,
ask to go to the restroom or ask if you could get a water from Crafty or whatever, like they'll send you off, but they need to make note of where you are.
or bring water to
Yeah.
you or something, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
props. I think they relieve you of your props even if you go to that holding area,
yep.
unless it's like not your watch or anything, but like if you had to hold
It's
a
a
briefcase or
briefcase. Firearms. They're
yeah,
very
firearms.
particular
Then
about firearms. They'll take
if
it
it
every
leaves this,
time. Yep.
you leave the set, they stay on set or they go
Yep.
to their space.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's usually what happens, but on the rare occasion where like there's something complicated happening or maybe the space is really confined, you might then have a conversation with the camera ops or the camera team about like, hey,
Or
when we turn around here, we're going to need you to like move around the camera or stand back here, and all of a sudden you're now
sure.
a collaborator with the DP and the AD, and that's
Yep.
pretty exciting. But it's just because you're kind of you're a part of the prop, a part of the scenery in that point, and
Sure.
they're selling the illusion of all these different camera setups.
Yeah, and the DP at this point too might talk to you once you get going. I know I've had an experience where they my stand-in for whatever reason was really close to this counter, and like they lit for that, and I've just found it very uncomfortable, so I naturally did not want to land there because like my thigh was like right in the counter,
Mhm.
but that's what they lit for. And I had missed that spot based on what we had done before, and then the DP's like, hey, is that really where you want to stand? It's okay if you do. And I'm like, well, oh, you got to move this light. And I'm like, do you want me to just hit my mark? I'll just hit my mark. But it was like we had a quick conversation of he's like, yeah, if you could honestly like that save us like 30 minutes. I'm like, I'll just
Yeah, you're a
it's just
superhero. That
but it was
yeah,
like a conversation of like, oh, I didn't realize the mark moved like 6 inches to the right, and it was like a little uncomfortable physically, like it just like the proximity of it was not where I would land naturally, but it looked right on camera, so like cool, we'll do it. But so that's a moment where you might find some of that stuff too, where while they were setting their lights and setting their camera with your second team, they may have adjusted something, and generally your stand-in is supposed to tell you. But I didn't
yeah,
see my stand-in in that case, but that happens sometimes too. So something to be aware of.
yeah, yeah. It all is. Yeah, it depends on the flow of the show and the flow of
Sure.
that team, I think, and stand-ins and sometimes background tend to be on that show longer than the guest cast,
Yeah.
and so they have these relationships. They have these these ways of communicating that are just um, what's the word I'm looking for? Short form,
Shorthand. Yeah.
shorthand. Yeah, they have this shorthand, and uh, and you never get the memo. And I think part of the job and part of the challenge of being a guest actor on a set is kind of keeping your head on a swivel and being open-minded and not entitled to anything. I think
Sure.
because in that moment, you could have been an entitled actor who said, like, no, my character stands here. And
And
good
everyone would have
Lord,
hated me.
would they
Yeah.
never think about hiring you for like another bit or like, the conversation could go, it'd be great if we had Sean to be in the background. No, that guy's a kind of a pain. Like, just let him go home, whatever.
Sure.
Like, so it's like you want to be helpful, I think.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I mean, I'm generally a person too that unless I really needed something, I'm pretty flexible.
Yeah.
There's a very short list of things that, it was barring like my shoes causing me pain. I don't think I would, whatever you need, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Like it is
Yeah.
my approach to it. I'm here to in service of the show and not the other way around. So
Yeah.
unless again, if it was like if I physically did not fit in the space they lit, then that's a different story. But that wasn't the case. It was just like weird that I was using the countertop as my mark and not where I would stand naturally.
But it can
But
be
but
disorienting
it can be
to
weird. Yeah.
be an actor because you think, oh, the director is going to tell me what to do, and
No.
chances are, actually, you might not have that many conversations. You might have one conversation with the director, frankly.
Or
Like,
sometimes it'll be like they'll look at you and they'll be like, "You're good."
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've
No
had
notes are
sets
good notes. It's like the going to the doctor.
for
You know?
sure. And then, like, I don't know, I've blocked this out of my memory, but I definitely did a day on a show, and the director didn't learn my name, which is fine. But then he was also kind of an asshole about who I was or something. Like, he
Uh,
was just sort of like, yeah, whatever that, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm getting paid pretty. I'm like, I'm I'm not just some guy off the street. Like, you hired me. Like,
right.
but I couldn't show that in that moment either. Like, that was not my play. I was like, okay, cool. Note to self. I've since forgotten. Like, I don't even remember
Yeah.
the details of what hurt my feelings. But like, your feelings might get hurt on set because there's 10 people who or whatever who are heads of departments who have a job to do, and everyone was working for them, and they just want things to go smoothly. And if you unintentionally make something difficult, it could cause a
Yeah.
problem, right?
Or the other thing
Um,
with directors too is like they may have just had a phone call that the guy for tomorrow is now out.
yeah,
Like and like he's thinking about all of the other work. that needs to
Yeah.
be done, right? Or they might be thinking about, now we're behind in the day, what shot am I going to cut from the rest of the schedule? Or like, you never know. And
Yeah.
it could be it's just been a string of days and they're just not getting what they want on any of it because the crew, whatever, they just work differently. So like, you don't know. You can't take any of it personally, even if it does affect you personally.
Yeah, you can't. I have a story that comes to mind, and I still don't know what happened and what I should have done, actually. So maybe you can help me problem solve this. But I booked a job, and it was a television show, and it was like a cop show, and I was playing a cop, and I was arresting the lead actor, and I like stuntman driving the cop car in the desert. I pop out of the passenger seat, pull a gun and say, "Get on the ground, well now, whatever." He's got it. He's got a gun. Him and the guest actor have, or the guest star, top of show guest star, have a gun on them. They throw it, and then it's this big crane shot, right? And they're shooting it in wide. And I walk up to the gun that they've tossed in rehearsal, and I picked it up, I think, and I put it in my waistband,
Yeah.
and like kept going to them, and the scene ends when I'm handcuffing them. We didn't have handcuffs though, so that was pretend.
Yep.
Like that was me putting a gun away, putting their hands behind, and pretending to grab something and pantomiming and whatever. And at that point, the actor would improv, and it was like, he's like, "What are you, 19?" It was great. It was really funny. But
Yeah.
then they'd cut. At some point between setups, the props department came over to me and said, "Hey, you can't pick up that gun. You don't have gloves on. Like it's evidence. Like you've got your prints on it." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Well, that's new information. Yeah.
I didn't. No one told me what to do with it. I just did it, and now we've filmed it a couple times doing it that way.
Yeah.
And so the next take, I kick the gun and I kick it away,
Yeah.
and I move on, and they cut, and then I don't know if it was right then, if I did it more than once, but at some point I got to sit to the side, and I had been chatting with the lead actor, and he was like, "Hey Patrick, come to, this is so and so," and he's a producer, and he's like, "What did I just hear? Did you change continuity? Did you kick the gun when you've been whatever?" He's like, "Who told you to do that?" And I was like, "The props guy."
Yeah.
Never listen to anyone except the director.
Oh man.
And I was like, what? I think they were playing a prank on me because they knew it was like one of my first times on set, and
Oh
that they were
boy.
messing with me.
That's so mean.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I think ever since, if the props tell me to do something, I'd like clear it with the AD or clear it with, I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Hey, so they said I should do this. Are we cool with that?" And just,
Or talk to
but
the
it's
script
hard because
supervisor. Yeah.
you're putting in these little pieces of information to other people who have much other bigger things that they're
Much more
thinking about.
information. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was like,
Yeah.
I choose to believe that they were just messing with me. No one gave a shit. And then the final edit, like it was fine. They used me picking up the gun. No one cared in this
Yeah.
silly cop show.
Dude, the wonderful thing about it is that each of those scenarios is equally likely to be true.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I could have been like, well,
Yeah.
actually, my cop is a dumbass.
sure.
Like, he
Yeah.
picks up evidence all the time.
Sure. Yeah. He's a moron. He's constantly trying to get implicated. He wants to get away from his wife.
But I guess my point being is like, there's a lot of people talking at you to like
Yes.
do the thing that's helpful for their department,
Yep.
and you've got to process it all and make it work. And if you can't,
Well,
you have to bring it up to somebody.
Talk to the director. Right.
Talk to the director. Yeah.
Yeah, talk to
or
the
talk to
director.
the AD and be like, "Hey, I have a question for the director."
Right. Right. Exactly. Or sometimes it is your script supervisor is responsible for continuity.
Yeah.
So
and
you might it depends on, again, who you talk to, who you've been introduced to on set, because every every crew works a little different and they want you to follow a different protocol. Generally, the AD is always safe and they will be
Yeah.
like, oh, good question. Let me bring it up to, and they'll know who to ask. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one. If props is saying something, I would definitely ask. Well, I don't know. I like to think that I would ask, but I also might do exactly what you did. Like, I'm just gonna do something different then. I'm just gonna offer them options. And it's,
I mean, at some point, it feels
yeah.
like you're on a roller coaster, and there's a part of me over the years of doing this. It's like, hey, look, sometimes you're going to burn a take.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, absolutely. They could do
mistakes
another one.
happen.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot it again.
Well, there's a reason they call it takes, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, you're gonna do
and
another one.
you're doing your best.
Whatever.
But yeah, I don't know anything else about then the day ends. They wrap you
Right.
and
Yeah,
you
you go
sign
home
out.
happy and you can't tell anyone or share any pictures or whatever your NDA says. Um,
That's what we should
but
talk about etiquette.
yeah,
Yeah, let's
yeah,
talk about general etiquette. We've kind of dabbled in it.
yeah.
Um,
It's been persistent, but yeah, general etiquette, like some bullet points. I think the largest one that the crew is going to be worried about is where is this actor? So do not disappear.
and show up on time.
Show
Yeah,
up on time. Right. You don't want them to be the one to be waiting for you. That's
yeah.
not the way that you want to set yourself forward. That information will get back to the casting director, and that will absolutely affect future opportunities. So,
And the directors move on to another
right,
show
and
and
the
they
writers and
work
the
with new
showrunners and the
casting. Yeah,
producers, right? Like everybody, your name is all over everything you do, from showing up on time to doing good work to leaving without being weird or stealing anything. So you like they know exactly what you're doing at all times. Make sure that that is the case. So don't disappear. If you need to take a phone call and go outside or step off set, like make sure that the AD knows. If you're going to the bathroom, make sure the AD knows. If you're going to crafty, make sure the AD knows. And if the AD is
yeah,
not there, you tell everyone else on your
yeah.
way.
You tell a PA
Right.
and
You
yeah,
tell a PA, right. You just want to make sure that somebody knows where you are. So that way when they're like, where's the actor? That somebody can be like, oh, he's just stepped in into 10-1 real quick, which would be go to
and
the
one. I was
bathroom.
just gonna say,
Yeah.
let's give the code, let's give the
Yeah.
lingo for the
Yeah. Yeah.
radio.
Yeah.
10-1 means use the restroom, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that's yeah, that's I think probably the big one is
That's the
don't
big one. I
disappear.
think the other big one nowadays, especially is what you mentioned. Like you might have signed an NDA, or there might have been a posting about what this studio or this network or this show's policy is towards social media,
Right.
and
It's generally
it
don't.
it's generally don't because we
Not
live in
until
the
the
world
episode airs. Right.
of Reddit and
Yeah.
leaks and pirating um, and depending on the show, there might be a mystery element or spoilers or a cast member who hasn't been announced yet or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, generally, if you take photos because the set's really cool, there's like, I love like all the, you see a crane holding up a big scrim or,
Oh
your
yeah, like
rain
an
machine or
inflatable
whatever.
light or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
cool.
that
Yeah.
stuff's fun. Or if you're on a studio and you want to take pictures of like, the big murals on the side of the walls and stuff, like that's all cool. But generally, like someone's gonna come up and talk to you and be like, "Hey, just so you know, you're
You
not
can't
supposed
post
to post
anything.
it," and you say like, "Yeah, no problem, whatever." And don't say no problem and then do it. Um,
They will find out. Right.
they will find out. And they have more lawyers than you do. They have way more lawyers.
They do have way
Um,
more lawyers. Uh,
and then you wait, and then you wait and wait and wait,
yeah.
and the show gets announced, or you find out when the air date's going to be. If you've been cut from the episode, which I think we should do a podcast about editing and in general, and then also an episode about cutting room floor type stuff. But
Yeah.
if you have been cut, sometimes you get a little email from casting saying like, "Hey, just so you know, like you got cut for time or whatever. It's a story
Right.
you did great, whatever." Um, I like sending photos, a photo and a little thank you email to my reps and
Yep.
trying to figure out if I can find an address to send a thank you note to casting. It's not always easy these
Yep.
days since people work from home, but um, And then if you can find addresses for anyone you met on the set and send them thank you notes, I think that's a nice thing to do
For
if it
sure.
was a good day, you know?
Yeah. Uh, if you do bring your phone to set, it's useful to have a charger with you,
Yeah.
like a battery charger. Like you don't always, you might have to plug into, you can't just assume any outlet on the set is going to be okay or safe to use, right? So like the electricians running the lights might have that circuit off. They might
Oh
be,
yeah, you should bring a battery pack for
yeah,
yourself, like
it's
a
like you
push
don't want to just
slide.
plug into something unless somebody says it's okay, even if you feel like you're at a private residence or something. Like with the lights that they're using, they might be running like at the capacity of that board, and then the 30 watts it takes to charge your phone might blow a breaker or something, right? And then that's a big
Yeah.
deal breaker. Also, with your phone, keep it on silent or on airplane mode. I've been on a set where I watched a guy lose his job because he had a timer to like wake up from a nap go off in the middle of a take.
Oh
And
no.
it was just like, oh, all right, this is someone's last day. He was probably a problem beyond that, but it was, not a good look. You don't want anything that's going to jeopardize the the production. So
Yeah, that's gonna get interfere when they say quiet on set,
yes,
rolling action, like
right. And
shut up, don't move, be
quiet on
still.
set means quiet on set, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's a tendency to like want to whisper, or but
And that's another
the
thing. If
the
you're
mics
a
pick them up.
guest and
Yeah,
the other crew, like whoever in the crew is like feeling very comfortable to do that or
yeah,
doing their job maybe to do and whispering, you still, I'm like, you're a guest and you are
yep. You can talk
um
on cut,
and
right?
if you're not the guest, lead by example, I suppose. Other tips, take a photo of your contract, take a photo of the
Yep,
timesheet. I mean, you can ask for a copy, but that's just asking someone to do another thing for you. And people have done a lot for you that day. So I think
just take,
photo's
yep,
easiest.
for sure.
And that's just helpful to have for your records and to later say like, oh, wait, when you're looking at your paycheck, like, I think we had a meal penalty, or I think there was I don't know, I had time and a half. Like it was a really long day. And so you can then call your reps and call SAG and get that stuff sorted. Um,
Right.
but you have proof. I would also say like general etiquette, as tempting as it is probably like not go over to Video Village unless you're invited or someone wants to chat with you over there.
That's
But
a good call. Yep,
because that's all I want to do is go hang out at Video Village,
me
and
too. I want to go hang out with
because
the
you get to
crew and we
see
go hang out with the
everything and
monitor and yeah,
listen to the producers and writers talk and everything, but everyone's got other things that they're working on that day, and your job is to do the thing between action and cut.
yep,
Um, that's in a couple hours. So yeah, I think just kind of being a gracious guest is the big one.
for sure. Yeah. Well, I think that's a wrap
That's a wrap
on
on us.
us and on the day and
Yeah,
what happens when you're on set for the first time.
yeah,
So let's hit him with some ad libs.
sure. I got one.
All
I
right,
just
sounds
got a
good.
new copy of so I've been following this he's an artist, writer named Austin Kleon. He's
Okay.
got a Substack, but he's got a couple books, but his new book just came out. Don't Call It Art.
Okay.
10 Ways to Create Like a Kid Again. And
Great.
it's a fun book because it's like little essays and then like little drawings and word
Yeah.
poems and pieces of advice, quotes from other artists. It's one of those. His first book was Steal Like an Artist,
Yeah.
and his second book was Keep Going, and this is his third book. And yeah, I'm excited to just dig into it, find a little inspiration, a little motivation here or there. Just have food for thought.
Yeah. Great.
How
That's
about you?
awesome. Yeah, my ad lib for this week is PeteyUSA has an album called The Yips and came out recently. It is like an indie rock adjacent
Oh, cool.
album, and it's great. He's like it all kind of takes place in this fictitious bar, and it's from the perspectives of like different working class people that might populate a place like that, and it's kind of singing about what A lot of real life stuff, but it's a great album. It's musically really well done. He's also like more well known on TikTok as a funny person there, but he's really a musician, and the album's
really?
great. Yeah, so it's the Yips by PeteyUSA, Petey.
Is it like a concept album, or is just every song like a bit of a story?
Every song's a bit of a story. I wouldn't say it's a concept album.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's great. Well, anyways, this has been Supporting Actors. I'm Sean Dubay.
I'm Patrick Quinlan.
If you have any questions or comments, please send them in to ask@supportingactors.com. Remember to like and subscribe this wherever you're listening or watching. It helps us out. Leave a comment or a review on iTunes or Spotify. That's great. And you can tune in next week where we reveal the secrets of drinking seltzers without burping.